Do you like strikeouts? Last night, some strikeouts. 30-something strikeouts. Guys were whiffing. They were missing. Do no hitting. Then came Mike Stanton. Ninth inning swinging, but not a homer. The game was over. Tonight, get your wish. Nationals and fish.
See, last night I did it in Spanish. Tonight with auto-tune in honor of T-Pain. Who knows what happens tomorrow? But hey, I'm a team player because the Marlins and the Nationals are ready to go. Sun Life Stadium, Fish and Nationals. It's game 2 of a 3-game series. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Strikeouts. There were a lot of them last night, weren't there? That's the most in any game so far in Major League Baseball this year.
Yeah, it was an interesting night. You had pitchers throwing well. You had an umpire that had a big strike zone. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do tomorrow.
Well, I need more bling if I'm going to make it in that field. Okay, let's talk about last night because it was a tight ball game, but the Marlins had opportunities to win that ball game on numerous occasions.
We have heard Edwin preach many times, in order to win close games, you got to do the little things. And the Marlins had a couple of chances last night, and things failed. Things didn't work. In the 5th inning, a missed squeeze opportunity. Remember the first time up, Ricky kind of showed bunt. He did that on his own. He was trying to just slap a bunt, try to get Buck in from third. Joe Espada talked to both Ricky Nolasco and John Buck. There was miscommunication. Ricky not bunting, Buck going, and the Nationals completed the rundown. That was an opportunity to get a run, a big opportunity in the 5th inning. In the 10th inning, after base hits by Dobbs and Buck, 1st and 3rd, nobody out. Infante back to the mound. A 1-3 putout, still 1st and 3rd. Wes Helms called out on a very borderline pitch. Runners still at 1st and 3rd. And then off the lefty, Sean Burnett, Chris Coughlin, a fly ball to center, and the Marlins failed to score. So a couple of opportunities there to have gotten a run maybe in the 5th inning and certainly in that 10th inning.
So the Marlins are trying to turn the page on last night. They still have a chance to win the series. Pitching matchup, very important for them tonight to get a good start out of Chris Volstad because the bullpen right now is taxed.
Yeah, the bullpen is taxed. Tom Gorzelani, the Marlins haven't seen him since he was a Pirate. Last couple of starts have been very good for him. Chris Volstad needs to take this one a little deeper into the game.
Volstad, Gorzelani, the Marlins, and the Nationals. Who's your pick to click? We're doing it tonight. Everybody gets a choice. You know, I tried to get Gabby, but I was late. So we'll find out who everyone has on our pick to click night. Nationals on a Saturday night. Let's head out to the studios. Out in left field, Allison Williams, Jeff Conine, take it away.
Thank you very much, Rich. Some baseball business to tend to first, as there's a few roster moves for the Marlins. Their 8th inning setup guy, Clay Hensley, placed on the DL with what they're calling a left rib contusion. Kind of an odd injury, Niner.
Well, he was a freak thing that happened at the hotel in Cincinnati. Kind of just dress shoes on, was at the restaurant, slipped down the escalator, and fell on those sharp, metal things that they have right on the left side of his upper back. Unfortunately, lose their 8th inning setup guy for a couple weeks. He
tried to pitch through it, but just in too much pain, wasn't able to be effective. So the Hopper is back from AAA New Orleans, and he's a guy we've seen 101 games from 2008 to 2010 with the Fish, so you kind of know what to expect from the Hop, and he feels like he's pitching well lately.
Yeah, he had one basically very bad outing at the AAA level, and he's been throwing the ball well, and he's got experience, so they needed him up here.
Yeah, 91 relief appearances on his career, 9-9 with a 3.62 ERA. So hopefully he can come in and be an effective part of the bullpen.
Well, and it gives you a long guy, too, so in case somebody falters at the beginning of the game.
All right, tonight is Pick to Click night, which means all of the broadcasters have chosen the player they think is going to click tonight. You get a point for every total base and RBI. You went with Mike Stanton. I went with Gabby Sanchez. The guys in the booth have Chris Coughlin, Hanley Ramirez, but Cookie Rojas going with the dark horse, Chris Volstad.
I mean, that's like the 180-to-1 shot at the Derby today. That's going to be tough, Cookie. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I don't know how long of a long shot Animal Kingdom was that won the Derby, but I'm guessing probably not as long as Chris Volstad. The crack staff going with John Buck. I said crack staff for all the people listening.
Mike Stanton, with the total bases, that's to get a point for total bases.
It is just bust on Allison Day, isn't it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to be bruised up by the end of this, all the jabs I'm taking. Niner, get out of here. We'll see you post-game show. Coming up next, the good guys. The guys in the booth. Rich and Tommy with the call. Game 2, Nationals Marlins, right here on Fox Sports Florida. Be nice.
What?
Sports Florida is brought to you by Toyota, moving forward, by AT&T, and by Checkers, little place, big taste. Sun Life Stadium, Marlins and Nationals ready to go. Game 2, Game 1, a nail-biter, and the Nationals won it last night in 10 by a score of 3-2. So, here's the Nationals lineup. Rick Ankiel placed on the disabled list. Hey, come on now. Everybody, line up. Roger Bernardina is in center field with Ankiel on the disabled list. Ian Desmond is in shortstop. Jason Worth is in right field. Adam LaRoche hits cleanup. Wilson Ramos will do the catching. Lance Nix had a big double last night in the 10th. He's in left field. Jerry Hairston Jr. had 3 hits last night. Danny Espinoza at second. And Tom Gorzolani hits ninth.
And it's up to Chris Volstad to try to get deep into this game. Good news, the Marlins in his 5 starts are 4-1.
Volstad misses outside. Roger Bernardina has spent most of the year in AAA Syracuse. Hit .270 with 8 stolen bases. Speedy guy. Covers a lot of ground in center field. Out of Curacao. Happy to be back in the big leagues, that's for sure. He does have 3 at-bats so far this year with the Nationals. That would be a strike, says Gary Cedarstrom, who's working the plate. Lance Barksdale, Adrian Johnson, and Fielding Coolbreath out on the bases. Two and two. Volstad 10 starts, a whopping 10 starts against the Nationals in his career. And an ERA of 5.33. That's the bad news. The good news, he's 5-1 in those 10 starts. That's kind of been the theme for Chris Volstad over the last couple of years. Great run support, not the best of ERAs, but a winning mark. Up the middle, that's into center field. And Bernardina, who's a threat to run, is aboard.
Check on the defense tonight for the Fish. There's Bonifacio, Coughlin, Stanton. No changes in the outfield. Wes Helms with the start at third base against the lefty. Everything sets up the same around the infield. John Buck behind the plate. And there's no question, Rich, with the way we saw Jim Riggleman have his club running last night. There were a number of hit and runs. It was a stolen base. Knowing that Chris Volstad's a little slow to the plate, don't be surprised to see his guys on the move tonight.
Ian Desmond, who was in the 8th spot last night, shortens the bunt and takes outside. So the Nationals have moved their lineup around a little bit. Espinoza led off last night. Desmond hit 8th. Desmond was 0 for 2. Desmond is in the 2 spot, and it's Espinoza who slides down to 8. Volstad, who really worked at the end of last year and in spring on keeping runners closer, varying times to the plate, pours in a strike, and it's 1-1. 28 of 33 were base stealers against him last year. But that knack for winning games, since the All-Star break last year, the Marlins are 14-4 in Chris Volstad starts. Volstad isn't 14-4, but the team is in the games in which he starts.
Just like this year, they're 4-1 in his 5 starts, even though he comes into this game with an ERA at 6. But generally, he gets a lot of run support.
Throw over, almost got him. Gabby with the tag.
Sometimes that almost can make a runner just shorten up a step or a half a step, and then sometimes that half a step is all you need to throw a runner out at second base.
Bernardina was in the outfield a lot last year for the Nationals. That one is fouled off. Had 111 outfield starts. Played in 134 games. Mike Morse had a terrific spring training and won the left fielder's job. Rick Ankiel kind of won the center field job. But Ankiel placed on the disabled list today. Bernardina up, Bernardina bluffs, and Volstad misses.
Ian Desmond at the plate has had some good numbers in his career against Chris Volstad. 9 for 15 with a home run.
Yeah, individually, the Nationals do have guys that have hit Volstad, but as we noted, Chris is 5-1 in the 10 starts. much quicker feet for Volstad on that move than in years past. This is his 4th season in the big leagues.
Yeah, he's actually improved in a couple of areas, the quickness to first base and also a little quicker to the plate.
That was close, too. Anytime you can get the throw over on the runner's side of the bag, it allows the first baseman a much quicker catch and tag. Watch this. Gabby also stepping in front of the bag there, almost took Bernardina's hand off. Hit hard. Gabby got a piece and will flip to Volstad, safe at first.
He got to get one of those. I think Gabby had a little indecision. He thought about going to second. I think he had a play at second. Even though Bernardina runs well, that ball was hit sharply. By the time he regrouped and got the ball and flipped to Volstad, everybody's safe. So we showed you some things at the beginning of this game. Bernardina had to pause because it was almost a line drive. Volstad a little late in getting there. He thinks Sanchez is going to make the play. So Gabby, as he flips to Volstad, you can see that Desmond beats him to the bag. And early on in this game, the Marlins don't get an out. A little thing that they didn't complete. We talked about that about last night's game.
So a couple of little things there. And now a big hitter is up, and that's Jason Worth. You talked about the good numbers for Desmond against Volstad. Worth, who was 0 for 2 last night, has 22 career at-bats against Chris Volstad and has just 1 hit. That's amazing.
That is.
For all the success that Worth has had as a Philly against the Marlins.
And by the way, Desmond gets an infield hit on that play to Gabby.
So Desmond in his career now is 10 for 16 against Volstad. Ground ball be nice here for the Fish. Infield is back. Helms at third tonight. Liner into center field. A base hit. Coughlin has it. Runner will be held. The bags are loaded. There's nobody out. Here comes Adam LaRoche. Three consecutive hits against Volstad to open up the ball game.
Not hit all that sharply by Worth, but hit in the right spot. Just tried to stay back and shoot the ball the other way.
LaRoche, a notorious slow starter, and you can see his batting average at 200. But a guy that always seems to put it in gear in June and July and August. Chris misses outside. And the Nationals on the verge of a big inning here. Jim Riggleman in his second year. Second full year.
This is one of those innings when it starts this way. Tough for a pitcher. That's not what you think about when you go out to the mound and begin that first inning. But if you can limit the Nationals to 1, maybe 2 runs, there's still a lot of baseball to be played. And a lot of time for Volstad to regroup.
It's the limiting part that is the key. Bernardina opened with a base hit. Ian Desmond hit that sharp one hopper off of Gabby's glove. That was a hit. Worth banged one into center field. Now it's 2-1 to LaRoche. Breaking ball missed inside, and Volstad has no room for error here. .3-1 coming. Popped him up. Out of play. It's a night where the Marlins need Chris Volstad to get past his usual 5 innings. It's kind of been his average this year. 5 starts, just 27 innings of work. The bullpen is taxed. Mike Dunn is not available. Of course, Leo Nunez worked last night. Clay Hensley put on the disabled list. Burke Badenhop is back, so the Hopper is back, and he's fresh.
Yeah, the Hopper pitched a couple of days ago for New Orleans, so he's ready to go if needed tonight.
3-2 coming. Lined into center field. That's a base hit. Bernardina scores. Desmond scores. And the Nationals have the first 2 runs of the night. So 4 straight hits. And Wilson Ramos, the young catcher, is coming up. Randy St. Clair to the mound.
Well, when that 2-seamer stays up, and it's tough when you fall behind to make those good pitches. Pitch was up to LaRoche, who is a terrific hitter. He's 4 for 9 now in his career against Chris Volstad.
Last time out in St. Louis, Chris went 5 innings, 5 runs. Didn't strike out a batter and walked 2. Ramos, who is slowly taking over the everyday catching job for the Nationals from Pudge Rodriguez.
What an opportunity for a young catcher to be able to be tutored by Pudge Rodriguez.
As you noted last night, Rodriguez has taken to that role. Never easy for a veteran who knows that his playing time will be cut with the progress of the guy he's working with.
You see that Ramos has that open stance, but he also stands as far back as you can get. He's a little beyond the line, but he is on the line technically.
One, 2. Ramos, of course, coming over from the Minnesota Twins. July of last year, when the Twins in the race needed bullpen help. Nationals at first and second. Matt Capps went from the Nationals pen to the Twins pen. And Ramos, the young catching prospect, came over to the Nationals.
So far, Rich, Chris Volstad has thrown 25 pitches and has yet to record an out.
A far cry from Justin Verlander today, who in Toronto threw his second career no-hitter.
I believe just 1 base runner, a walk, and he was erased in a double play.
108 pitches for a no-hitter.
So he faced 27 batters, had the 1 walk, and his second career no-hitter.
Giovanni Gallardo flirted with a no-hitter today.
Yes, he did. Against a tough lineup.
Yes, 8 innings in St. Louis. And Daniel Descalso broke it up with a line drive single. Swing and a miss.
Chris Volstad puts him away with a fastball up. I don't know if he wanted to throw it up there, but he got away with it. And sometimes that'll get you going. Hopefully it will for Chris.
So an out here in the first, and here is Lance Nix. Nix had a big hit last night in the 10th. With Jason Worth at first and 1 out. He had a hard chopper that got over the head of Gabby Sanchez and down the right field line. That was a double. It pushed Worth to third, and he scored on the Adam LaRoche sacrifice fly, and that's how the Nationals got their 3-2 lead in the 10th. Of course, the Marlins had opportunities in the bottom of the 10th, but somehow Drew Storen was able to wriggle off the hook.
Boy, when you get first and third with nobody out, you hope you get at least one.
Gabby, far to his right, gets the out at second. That's a nice play. He had to wait to clear the path and hang on to the ball long enough, so he had a clean alley to throw to Hanley.
When you move to your right this far off the bag, your best opportunity for an out is to second base. So there's a little double clutch. He had to get a good angle. Hanley was right there for the throw. And on that play, you're only going to get one out. It's not hit hard enough to be a double play.
So Worth is standing on third. Nix now occupies first. And here's the guy that was the biggest headache last night, Jerry Hairston. 2 doubles, a single, and a walk.
Nationals happy to have a guy like Harrison. He's played games at third base, second base, left field. He was in center field last night, and as Rich just mentioned, he had a good night offensively as well.
Hairston's brother Scott on the Mets this year. His father, of course, Jerry, a longtime big leaguer. And his grandfather, Sam, was a star in the Negro Leagues and got to the big leagues with the White Sox, the first African-American player for the Chicago White Sox. Pulls that out in front, 1-2.
Trust me, even with the 2 runs, if Chris is able to retire these last 3 hitters, we're almost Nix and out. Harrison, if he can get Harrison out, hopefully he can build on that when he goes back out there.
One, 2 coming. Jim Riggleman was aggressive last night. The Nationals just 2 under the 500 mark at 15-17, and playing right now without one of the best players in the National League, Ryan Zimmerman, who's on the disabled list. Runner goes on 2-2, and it's fouled out of play. Tommy, the lineup looks completely different when you take Zimmerman out of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and trust me, Jim Riggleman feels the same way. He'd love to have. He told me today, I talked to Riggleman, and he said they hope Zimmerman is back mid-June, but then he looked at me and he said, you know Zimmerman, he'll probably want to be back before that.
Slow tapper, Helms comes and gets the hop and throws him out. So Volstagg gives up 4 hits, throws 35 pitches, and it's just 2 runs of damage.
botón del SAT.
Here come the Fish. 19-12 are the Marlins. Chris Coughlin leads it off in center field. Emilio Bonifacio's at third. Hanley Ramirez at short. Gabby Sanchez at first. Mike Stanton at right. John Buck, the catcher. Wes Helms at third base. Omar Infante at second. Chris Volstad will do the pitching. He hits ninth.
28-year-old veteran left-hander. The Marlins have seen him, but it's been a while. He was with the Pirates back in '07. But Gorzelani right now has allowed just one run over his last 18 1/3 innings. He's been throwing the ball very well.
Chris Coughlin stands in. And Coughlin takes a strike. Coughlin, Emilio Bonifacio, and Hanley Ramirez. Coughlin 0 for 5 last night. 0 for his last 10, going back to the Cardinal series. Gorzelani pours across his strike. It's amazing that this guy's been in the National League for the past, 6 years. And the Marlins haven't faced him since 2007. Last couple years with the Cubs. Before that, the Pirates.
It's a tough matchup, too, Rich, for Chris Coughlin. He has struggled somewhat against lefties, hitting right about 150 against left-handers this year. A couple of years ago, his Rookie of the Year campaign much better against left-handers.
In the dirt. Now, tonight is a pick-to-click night. Occasionally, especially after a loss like last night, our producer John Sulzer will throw it out as a pick-to-click. First in gets to choose the player to click. Coughlin rolls one up the middle. To his left is Desmond. Nice sideways throw to get Coughlin. My first choice was Gabby. He was taken. Then I thought about Stan. He was taken. So I figured, you know what? I'll go with Coughlin tonight. I'm 0 for 1. You're the one. So you're the guy that got Hanley.
Yeah, I actually called our producer John Sulzer, texted him immediately after the game last night, just saying, "Hey, if we do pick to click, I'm first in with Hanley."
Anything he can do to help the team. Here's Bonifacio, runs up to bunt, takes down low. Bonifacio last night was on base a couple times. He continues to produce at the plate. You see the batting average at .330.
Nobody picked Bonifacio.
Right center field. Worth makes the catch. And Bonifacio is out number 2.
Let's look at defense. There's Lance Nix, Roger Bernardino. We saw him lead off. Worth in right. Jerry Hairston, who played center last night, moves in to play third. Desmond and Espinosa, the double play combo. Adam LaRoche and Wilson Ramos is behind the plate.
Hanley Ramirez now. The one hit last night means Hanley has a 4-game hit streak. He has a single hit in 4 consecutive games. And he stands in here against the lefty, and Hanley takes a ball. Marlins haven't seen a whole lot of lefties this year. They're 4-4 against left-handed starters.
A few hitters in the lineup that have hit lefties pretty well, though. Yeah. Hanley being one. Let's check the scouting report for Gorzelani. He is herky-jerky, curve and a slider. And if you're at first base, he'll give you that step off and snap throw over to first. Not overpowering, but he'll get you with, if he has control, he can lose that once in a while, but if he has good control, he can be tough.
Ground ball deep in the hole. Going to be a long throw. Desmond skips it and gets him with help from LaRoche. Tom Gorzelani throws 10 pitches to get 3 outs. Nothing, a very pleasant night in South Florida. All year cooling provides us our weather. 80 degrees, partly cloudy, 66 in D.C. The Marlins are headed to Washington, D.C. on the next road trip. Washington, D.C. and New York. That's after the Phillies arrive on Monday. Espinoza takes outside. Danny Espinoza, the second baseman for the Nationals. Tom Gorzolani and Roger Bernardina. Strike from Volstad. 35 pitches in that first inning for Chris. And the Nationals got on the board with 2 runs. 4 singles. That one golfed foul. The Phillies, of course, and the Nationals played a 3-game series before Washington got here. And it didn't go so well for the Nats. They were swept in 3. And that came on the heels of Washington winning 3 of 4 from San Francisco. Big swing and a miss, and Volstad has his second strikeout.
Right toward the end of the first inning, he started snapping off his curveball and his breaking ball a little bit better and more command. And a good pitch there to get Espinoza. If he is able to use that, keep that in the strike zone and get ahead, he's going to have much better success.
Here is Gorzolani. A strike. Orland Park, Illinois, and a Pirates second-round pick back in 2003. It's 0-2. Jim Riggleman's ball club much improved from last year. They were 63 and 93 last season. Hanley has plenty of time, and he almost tossed it away. Gabby saves him. There are 2 outs. Our promos tonight from John Buck. Here's number 1.
Catch the fun of Marlins Family Sunday tomorrow at 1:10 as we wrap up the series with the Nationals. Bring your mom to the ballpark for Mother's Day. Plus, moms and kids get to run the bases after the game. Call 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. Marlins Baseball. Catch our moves.
See, what fans don't realize, Rich, is that was a test for John Buck after getting smacked on the head by Adam LaRoche's bat. We just wanted to test, make sure everything was all right. No concussion. He's fine. He's back in there this evening.
Standard neurological procedure. That and the pinprick test, as well as reading
Better
the promos.
You say that than me.
Bernardina single back in the first and scored. And it's 1-2. Just the fact that the Nationals didn't lose 100 games was an improvement. 2009 they lost 103. 2008 they lost 102. Not enough Curly W's for Manny Acta to keep his job.
Manny Acta doing quite well with Cleveland now.
Volstad, my goodness!
That would have been a play of the year.
The play of the year.
Oh.
Chris Volstad, the dive, and from his back, he nearly threw out Bernardina, who is a very fast man. Here's a look.
There wasn't a chance for Wes Helms to make the play. So 6'8", bare hands from the back, tries to throw. A lot of runners he throws out, but because of the speed of Bernardina, he beats it out. It's an infield base hit. Wow, what an effort. And look for Bernardina to not waste too much time to try to steal second with 2 out and get into scoring position.
Well, if Volstad wasn't loose before that, he is now. That's quite a contortion move. Bernardina was running on a couple occasions, and Volstad nearly picked him off in the first inning.
Really, the last couple of days, Rich, we're talking about pitching. Talked about Verlander today, Gallardo. Jaime Garcia last night gave up just 2 hits in 9 innings in his game against Milwaukee, a shutout. Cliff Lee struck out 16.
Why has that balance tilted towards the pitcher?
I think there's a couple of reasons. I think, first of all, I always thought early in the year was more pitchers. Then the hitters in the summer start catching up to the pitchers. And we are in an era now where players are tested. And I think that's a big reason.
A strike to Ian Desmond. Desmond, one of 4 consecutive hits to open the first, and he scored a run. Runners on. Buck's throw. And he's safe at second. John Buck cutting loose. Bernardina, I told you, had 8 stolen bases in AAA already this year.
This is very close. It almost appears the ball catches the backside. That was close. Infante had a shot. Ball just skipped off his glove.
So number 1 for Bernardina. And Desmond in a spot to drive in a run. Takes a pitch. It's 1-2.
And we told you about the numbers for Desmond. Now 10 for 16 against Chris Volstad.
Dodgers and Mets are underway. Andre Ethier walked his first at bat. That's in New York. Sitting on 30 games. Infante to his right. Has it, fires to first. And Volstad works a clean second. Marlins give their second look at Tom Gorzolani. Morrison doing some running under the close supervision of the Marlins medical staff and coaches. He certainly has been doing a lot of hitting over the last couple of days, and his swing right now is in fine shape. He's put one about 15 rows up in right field during that BP session. 2-0 Washington on top, bottom of the second. The Marlins are hopeful that Morrison early next week can get up and play a couple of rehab games and then be ready to go at the very least when the Marlins hit the road and go to D.C.
Yeah, I think it's important for him to get a couple of games under his belt in the minor leagues just to get some timing back. But I agree. I think he'll be ready when the Marlins head to D.C.
Popped up. LaRoche. And he makes the catch. So the Marlins have not been able to solve Tom Gorzolani at all. A guy that had a sub 500 year last year with the Cubs. He was 7-9 with a 409 ERA.
And you mentioned, Rich, where he's from, Illinois, so he enjoyed the last couple of years pitching for the Cubs.
Stanton fouls it back.
He was a guy the Cubs used in a couple of roles. He started 23 games, and then 6 other games he came in out of the bullpen.
Mike takes inside. 0 for 4 night last night for Mike Stanton. One of those O's was so close.
One of those O's was oh so close
to ending the game. Pulls that one foul. Stanton. It was the 9th inning. There were 2 outs in the 9th, and the game was all tied at 2. And Stanton hit a ball to deep center field. Jerry Hairston planted himself right in front of the wall and caught it right at the wall. Of course, center field here is a tough place to get out. But anytime a ball comes off the bat of Mike Stanton, it seems to have a little more carry than mere mortals. That one fouled back, and it's 2-2.
Seen a little bit of everything from Gorzelani. I like that during an at-bat. If you can extend it, see all the pitches, especially your first at-bat in the game. It's always an advantage, I think, if you see everything the guy has. Tried to backdoor with an off-speed pitch there. So he's seen changeup, he's seen slider, seen fastballs. He's tried to crowd him in. Let's see if he comes in with the fastball.
3-2. It's out. And Stanton is aboard. First base runner for the Marlins, John Buck, is coming up. This is the 101st career start for Gorzelani. And his career record right now, pretty darn close to 500. 37 and 39 with an ERA of about 4.5. Buck drives it left field and deep. Get out, ball! Yeah, it's gone.
Tie game just like that. I'll tell you what, Rich, John Buck over the last week, even if you go to the entire road trip, has swung the bat as well as we've seen him. And it kind of goes back to him talking about how early in the year he focused so much on handling the pitchers, watching video, making sure the pitchers were right. Now he's focused on himself, and he's had some tremendous swings.
Wes Helms coming up. I was just about to say, almost all of his big hits have been to right center field. The home runs certainly to right center field or right field. But he definitely yanked that one into left center. 1-1 to Wes Helms now.
So reading our promos tonight got him ready, got him focused.
You sure it wasn't Adam LaRoche banging him on the head?
That, you know, sometimes that scrambles things around a little bit too.
John Buck, 4 homers now, 17 driven in. 2-2 coming. And Helms strikes out on a fastball.
And Rich, you're right. All of his home runs, of his 4, 3 have been to right field. So that was the first one that he's pulled.
Omar Infante now. He takes a fastball up. Infante had a big at bat and actually hit the ball hard in the Marlins 10th inning. Omar drives one to center. And Bernardina is back there, and he makes the catch. So the Fish are done here in the second, but not before they draw even on one swing by John Buck. For the Marlins, it was quick.
Yeah, the beauty of a home run. A two-run shot.
A walk to Mike Stanton and a two-run shot by John Buck. And Chris Volstad is back even now with the Nationals. Here's Jason Worth at the letters for a strike. Worth to be followed by Adam LaRoche and Wilson Ramos.
And you hope that the two runs, the two quick runs, hope they give Chris Volstad some life.
Ball in the air, and Fonte's back. And Omar is under it and makes the catch. In the house tonight, throwing out the first pitch, Christian Slater.
In a new show on Fox called Breaking In.
From the rubber. Got rocking the K-Swisses. Not a bad toss.
Been an actor, been around for a long time.
Hey,
Christian Slater.
Did you see who caught the first pitch? Edwin Rodriguez. The skipper. Not often the skipper goes out there for a first pitch.
Yeah, usually, I think Edwin said, Billy, I want to do this one tonight.
Adam LaRoche takes a strike. LaRoche provided the Nationals with the 2 runs, hammering the ball back up the box into center field for a 2-run single. Good breaking ball. Volstad catching the inside corner at the knees.
See, the breaking ball since the final couple of outs of the first inning, and then certainly last inning, the breaking ball has been there for him now.
There it is again. Same pitch he got strike 2 on. LaRoche doesn't like it. Gary Cederstrom shakes his head right back at him. Monday, an exclusive look at Marlins Vice President General Manager Mike Hill. This episode of Inside the Marlins features interviews with former coaches and colleagues along the way. Growing up in Cincinnati, a star at Country Day High School, and of course a two-way star at Harvard as a football player. He's a good running back. And a baseball player. Played 3 years in the minor leagues. Didn't know that he was a left-handed hitter.
Terrific to be around Mike Hill. Talk baseball with him. Talk a lot of things with him.
Good IT guy, too, if you have trouble with your iPad. Those Harvard guys know everything.
And can hit the golf ball a long way, too.
Wilson Ramos struck out back in the first. Infante. That's a very nice inning by Chris Volstad. 10 pitches, 3 outs. Greatest Washington Senator of all time. Walter Johnson is leading. Arlen Specter doesn't have a vote. Come on, people. Joe Cronin, Frank Howard, Harmon Killebrew.
Yeah, Harmon Killebrew and Frank Howard. You got to go with the power. Of course, the power arm of Walter Johnson, the big train.
How about the greatest? Would managers be available in that poll? Because Ted Williams managed the Washington Senators.
Could be. But obviously not on our poll.
No. A poll which in recent days has included cervezas, tamales. Here's Chris Volstad. Coughlin follows. Emilio Bonifacio as well. 9-1-2 for the Fish in the bottom of the third in a 2-2 game. As we told you earlier, just trying to shake things up, the Crew did a pick-to-click night. First one in got to choose a player. Cookie Rojas going with the man at the plate. Volstad fouls it back.
I mean, I have a tremendous respect for Cookie, for what he's done in this great game of baseball. But if Volstad gets 3 hits tonight, I'll be flabbergasted at his ability in picking and clicking. Not on the first AB, though.
Who's sitting in the catbird seat right now but the crack staff? Again, you know, when you read the text late like I do, you go with a lefty against a lefty, and I've got Coughlin. But Allison Williams with Gabby Sanchez. Niner has Stanton. You, last night after the game, somehow got Hanley right off the bat. Here's Coughlin. He bounced out his first time up.
It's like Family Feud. You know, whoever hits that button first, and you get the answer in right away.
Show me Hanley. 1-1. Thank you. Our director, Jim Hawley, follows commands quite well. It's a second Espinoza. Coughlin is 0 for 2. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Florida Marlins, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. Emilio Bonifacio now. He flied to right. In this nice run that Bonifacio has had, the majority of his at-bats have come against right-handed pitching. And against right-handed pitching from the other side of the plate, he's hitting .318. But in the rare occasion he's over on this side, he's hitting .364. So both sides of the plate, he's been consistent.
That's why it was fun to see him hit that home run, his second career home run, but his first ever out of the ballpark. To see him hit it from the left side in Cincinnati, because if you watch Bonifacio take batting practice right-handed, he's got some pop. You'll see him hit a number of balls out. There is the split on Bonnie this year, and the on-base percentage continues to stay over .380.
And he walks. He said the day after he hit the home run, his father called him from the Dominican Republic, and the first thing out of his dad's mouth is, "Are you okay?"
And Bonnie said, "No, I'm playing in Cincinnati."
They had a good laugh at it. And I wouldn't be surprised if he sent that home run ball back to Dad in the Dominican.
We'll check with him on that. On base percentage now for Bonifacio, .388.
Now, in your scouting report, I remember a nice move from Gorzolani.
Yeah, that step-off snap throw. We pointed it out last night with Hanley, and this is why you just anticipate night after night him breaking out of things. We pointed out last night he's had tremendous career numbers in over 90 games against the Nationals.
It is amazing. Especially when you consider a season worth of games on average is 150 to 155 games for a player. And this is only over 92 games.
92 games, a .355 average, and 25 home runs.
30 doubles. And he scored 94 runs. Fouls that at the plate on the check swing. 1-2.
When Hanley, a situation like that, when he's hot, when he's going well, you don't see that body language on that check swing. He was kind of fooled on a pitch in, really wanted to hold up on the swing but couldn't.
It's funny how you talk to some people around baseball about teams that they cover, and they'll tell you, well, you know, our team isn't hitting, we're not getting much production out of this guy, that's why we're not winning games, or we've got a guy injured or whatever. And then you realize, well, the Marlins aren't getting anything out of Hanley right now. Logan Morrison,
who at the time of his injury was leading the team in home runs and RBIs,
has been gone for the last 2.5 weeks. 2-2 pitch coming. Mike Stanton is just starting to heat up. They've had a revolving door of guys at third base.
Omar Infante hasn't yet. He had a little stretch there. First few games when he hit down the lineup. Hasn't hit where the team expected him to yet.
Full count, 2 outs. Bonifacio on the move. Hanley pulls it foul.
So you add all those things up, and then you look at a 19-12 record, and you feel pretty good about that. I know Edwin has talked about that, and he knows that this club is going to get better when he gets guys healthy.
As we showed you earlier, Morrison seems like he is progressing quite well from his foot sprain. He might be 5-6 days away from rejoining the big club.
Well, one thing we'll know for sure, the Marlins will not see Roy Oswalt in that series with the Phillies. Oswalt was placed on the disabled list today by the Phillies with some back soreness.
Yeah, that spot right now is undecided. The Monday night game. That's Javier Vasquez against to be announced. Bonifacio goes, little looper. That's going to be caught. Wow, a sliding catch by Espinoza showing great range and robbing Hanley of a hit and ending the third inning. To the fourth. Just like last night, all tied at 2. Last night 2-2 for a while until the Nationals got a run in the top of the 10th to win it by a run in extras. Lance Nix, Jerry Hairston, Danny Espinoza against Chris Volstad, who had a rough start, a 35-pitch first inning. That's when the Nationals got their 2 runs, but since then it has been nice and tidy.
Through 16 in the second and 10 in the third.
Nix is 0 for 1. Changeup. And he fouls it at the plate.
All of a sudden, you're seeing Chris Volstad get all of his pitches over and have command of everything. He didn't have that in the first inning.
We've been following a couple of stories around baseball today. Justin Verlander throwing his second career no-hitter as the Tigers beat Toronto in Toronto. That's not an easy park to throw a no-hitter, a great hitter's park, the Rogers Center. And the other story, Andre Ethier trying to extend his 30-game hit streak. He has had 2 at-bats. He's walked once and is 0 for 1. So in 2 at-bats, he does not have a hit. The Dodgers and Mets are in the bottom of the third, and the Mets lead at 2-0.
Trying to extend it and tie the franchise record set by Willie Davis in 1969.
It amazes me that that's the record for the Dodgers.
For the Dodgers, yeah. When I first read that, I thought they meant Los Angeles Dodger record, but no, that's franchise record.
That's been the best pitch for Volstad against left-handed hitters. Remember, he got LaRoche on 2 nasty breaking balls in the third.
And all of a sudden, because he has command, he puts away Lance Nix. Strikeout number 4 for Chris.
Let's check in with Allison Williams. Allie?
Hey, Rich, Tommy, you know, John Buck has done a lot for this team. He now is tied for the team lead with 17 RBI, but he's also doing a bit to help out the community. It's called the Buckaroos, and he's donating his 4 tickets to the game, usually on Friday night games, to kids that are in orphanages or are in foster families, and they're calling it the Buckaroos. You can see the T-shirts they had made, the nice bright yellow, to support his cause. It's something he and his wife came up with to just kind of give back. They're not always using the tickets, so they thought it would be a nice opportunity to provide transportation for the kids, as well as money for food here at the game, and of course the 4 tickets. So John's doing a lot for the team, a lot for the community, but Rich, just don't ask him to say Miccosukee. He struggles with that. We found his weakness. You'll see why in a little bit.
I'm looking forward to hearing that. That one is banged into right field, a base hit I like those T-shirts, the Buckaroo T-shirts.
Maybe the Mikusuki thing was an after effect of the LaRoche bat on the side of the head.
Jerry Hairston into right field for a base hit. And here comes Espinoza. The Phillies have a 1-0 lead over the Braves. That's in the bottom of the 4th inning in Philadelphia. An unlikely source has knocked in the only run of the ball game, and a guy that has played for both teams, Pete Orr.
Yeah, the Braves are sending out a 20-year-old rookie making his major league debut, Julio Teheran from Colombia, who was 3-0 in AAA with a 1.80 ERA. So he's making his major league debut in Philadelphia.
Hey, the Braves have as many wins as the Marlins now. Braves are 19-15, a 6-game win streak. The Fish at 19-12. Marlins have dropped 2 in a row in 3 of their last 4. And by the way, just so you know, the Phillies series, the pitching matchups, we told you it's Javier Vasquez against question mark with Oswalt going on the disabled list. Josh Johnson, Roy Halladay on the Tuesday night. Wednesday night is Ricky Nolasco, Cliff Lee.
Yeah, this is a pretty good one. We told you Cliff Lee last night lost, but in 7 innings struck out 16. That was the other amazing thing about baseball yesterday. We told you the Nationals struck out 17 times and won. The Braves struck out 18 times because the bullpen struck out 2 more, and the Braves won their game.
I can just hear the hitters meetings with the hitting coach before the next game. Guys, way to go last night. Way to get another W. Let's go out and punch out another 15, 16 times. Keep swinging from your heels. You're bound to run into one. Runner goes, pitch in the dirt. Buck's throw is strong and on the mark, and he's out. Hairston caught with some help from Hanley Ramirez, who had to drift into the baseline and made a nice catch and tag.
Good job on both parts. The throw tailing a little bit, also tougher with that left-handed hitter, but Hanley stays with it and then puts the tag right on the helmet of Hairston. I thought Hairston got a pretty good jump too, but the throw beat him.
I don't know what adjustment John Buck has made, but his 2 throws tonight have been quick catches and releases, and that's something he has struggled with a little bit early in the season. Driving the gap, right center field. No one's going to get that one. It's going to go to the wall, and Espinoza can really run. Motoring around second on his way to third. Got himself a triple.
And that caught stealing pretty big right now, because now you have the pitcher coming up, Gorzolani. Good swing by Espinoza, the switch hitter. Finds that gap, and that's a deep part of the ballpark, right in that little crease out there by the Geico sign. And with his speed, a triple all the way.
Nationals and a lot of scouts very, very high on Espinoza. They feel he'll be a good major league player for a long time. Here's Gorzolani. Swings and misses. That's the thing about Washington. Everybody focuses on Strasburg and Harper.
But even Jordan Zimmerman, the young pitcher who pitched last night.
But with guys like Ramos and Espinoza, Desmond, they have some young talent who can be good major league players. And you need that along with the superstars. Worth obviously is going to be around for a while.
And when Bryce Harper gets here.
And Ryan Zimmerman at third base. You'd expect he'll be here for a while. In the dirt. Buck almost had to crawl between the legs of Gorzolani and find the ball. Volstad leaves Espinoza at third. in Miami, Sun Life Stadium. Time now to take a look at the upcoming Marlins schedule, brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. Here we are on a Saturday night. Mother's Day tomorrow, and then the Phillies are in town. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Josh Johnson. Of course, Roy Halladay on that Tuesday, Ricky Nolasco, Cliff Lee on Wednesday. It's Livan Hernandez and Anibal Sanchez tomorrow. And Kids Sunday and Mother's Day. We look forward to the upcoming schedule. You too can live forward with Just for Men Hair Color. Happy birthday, Ozzie Martinez.
Hard to tell that it's his birthday because he smiles all the time.
Yes, he does. Gabby Sanchez, Mike Stanton, John Buck in that order in the bottom of the fourth. And Gorzolani has been in and around the strike zone. The Marlins have just one hit, but that was a two-run homer by Buck back in the second. Gabby sends that one in the gap, racing over his Knicks. And he makes the catch. Time to flip the phone. Our AT&T trivia question arrives in the fourth inning tonight. Expos national franchise, who has the most hits versus the Marlins?
Well, I think you have to play the Expos more. So I think you have to think of an Expo player.
Stanton breaks his bat. Hairston throws him out. Was there an Expo player
maybe
that...
a Vladimir Guerrero?
How long was Delino DeShields in Montreal?
I don't think he was there long enough. Larry Walker wasn't there long enough.
Tim Wallach was probably a little earlier than
so was Tim Raines, yeah.
John Buck used that bat to do this. That was after the walk to Stanton in the second. So Buck, of course, coming off an all-star appearance last year. Had a 20-homer season.
About that time, too, to get online, or if you're at the ballpark, get those ballots and start voting for your all-stars.
He took a whack at it. Hairston runs out of room. Figured a 3-0 pitch. He had homered his last at bat.
Hey, why not?
One thing Buck is doing more of this year than last year, and that's walk. Last year, all season, he walked just 16 times.
Well, and as Allison mentioned earlier, right now, Chris Coghlan, Gabby Sanchez, and John Buck all with 17 RBIs.
Buck has walked already 10 times this year. Change up for a strike, counts full now, 3-2. See what he gets, 3-2.
He got a fastball, but it was pretty well placed. It was down, it was away. And right there, John asking home plate umpire Gary Cederstrom, is that a ball?
That fastball got by him. Still 2-2. question. The crack staff threw in a Jose Vidro. How about a Moise Alou?
Ah, Moises Alou. That would be a good guess.
Expos Nationals franchise. Most hits versus the Marlins. Oh, the crack staff is red hot tonight.
Yeah, crack staff's hot. Jose Vidro.
124 games.
Now, second on that list, Ryan Zimmerman. Vlad Guerrero third, Orlando Cabrera fourth, and Mike Lansing fifth on that list. Jose Vidro, switch hitter, used to hit a lot of doubles.
We had Mike Lansing's name on the telecast the other night as Bernardina bounces out. Actually, it was 2 days ago in St. Louis because Jake Westbrook was traded for Mike Lansing from the Rockies to the Expos back in '97.
Hard-nosed player, Mike Lansing. Good job by Chris Volstad to retire Bernardina, the first hitter in this inning, and retire him for the first time. Bernardina was 2 for 2 going into that at-bat.
Desmond now. Ian Desmond, an infield single. Nationals did their damage in the first. They extracted 35 pitches out of Volstad, scored twice, had 4 hits.
So just 3 hits for the Nationals since that first inning. The Marlins with just the 1 hit off Gorzelani.
Two and one. Of course, that 1 hit, a John Buck homer. Buck has done a little bit of everything tonight. He's homered. He threw out a runner. Everything but pronounced Mikusuki, apparently. Here's the 3-1. Liner into right center field. Desmond has speed. Coughlin trying to cut it off, and he gets it on the track, but there's no way that they're going to get Desmond, who ends up at third, and the Nationals have their second triple of the ball game, and that sets Worth up nicely for an RBI.
Boy, 11 for 18 now is Ian Desmond against Chris Volstad. We've seen 2 triples find that gap in right center. Espinosa tripled in the 4th inning, and this one pretty much similar. Didn't get all the way to the wall, but pretty much in the same area. They both run well, and they both had easy 3-base hits.
So here's Worth, who singled in the first, popped out in the third. As we pointed out, he was just 1 for 22 in his career against Volstad coming in. And speaking of in, the Marlins infield is in. Volstad misses up and in. 1-0. That ball's hit well, right center field and deep. Stanton shy of the track, tagging and scoring is Desmond. So the Nationals make it 3-2. John Buck with our next promo.
Monday, May 9th through Wednesday the 11th. All the games are at 7:10. Plus, take advantage of the Subway Monday and Miami Herald 2 for Tuesday ticket offers. Call 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. Marlins Baseball. Catch our moves.
Gets better with every one.
Good job. Very serious. But getting the point across as he does to his pitching staff.
Adam LaRoche, 2-run single, called out on strikes. The Nationals have, as you've pointed out, done the little things. Got a runner home from third last night. LaRoche did a sacrifice fly. That turned out to be the game winner. Worth getting a run home on a sacrifice fly here in the 5th. Andre Ethier, in 3 at-bats, does not have a hit, as they're just about midway through that game. Dodgers in New York against the Mets. It's 2-1 Mets.
Who's pitching for the Mets?
On the hill for the Mets, I believe it's Dylan G.
Dylan G.
John G. is pitching for the Dodgers.
John Garland.
Yes.
First walk of the game for Chris Volstad. But I think he didn't want to give LaRoche too much. He wanted to go after Ramos and jam it.
Yeah, he wanted to saw him off. And he did. 3-2 Nets. MetLife Stadium in Miami. Cast of characters includes Jeff Conine, Allison Williams, Tommy Hutton. I'm Rich Waltz. John Solser, our producer. Jim Hawley, our director. Ken Lee, our generally well-liked graphics coordinator. Actually, the vice president of graphics. Wes Helms, Omar Infante, and then Chris Volstad will try to solve Tom Gorzolani. Gorzolani has given up just the John Buck two-run homer, and that's it. And Helms takes an off-speed pitch for a strike. Helms went after a high fastball and struck out in the second. Ball and a strike, a frustrating at bat last night for Helms. Marlins had runners at second and third, and one out in the bottom of the 10th, down a run. And hard-throwing Drew Storen elevated a fastball that Helms thought was out of the strike zone. Fielding Kulbreth called it strike three. That was a big out because Sean Burnett, the lefty, came in out of the pen, and the first pitch that Chris Coughlin saw, he had a soft liner to center, and the game was over.
Wes is such a pro. I talked to him today, and he was upset at the call, but he was more upset at a slider that he didn't hit earlier in the count. And he didn't catch up to that fastball there.
He's 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. Leaders of the game presented by JM Lexus. Team leaders against left-handed pitching. The Marlins at 287. Look at the Reds. JM Lexus, price made us #1. Click jmlexus.com to find out how. Now Infante. Jordan's the bunt, takes up. He flied out in his only at bat. Gorzolani has struck out 4, and he's walked 2.
Well, we told you coming into this game, he had given up just 1 run in his previous 18 and a third innings. So he's been on a nice roll. He had a no decision against the Mets last time out, but in 6 and a third gave up just 5 hits and a run. You don't think of Tom Gorzelani when you talk about power pitchers, but over the last couple of years, he's averaged a little over 8 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Infante is aboard. And with Volstad coming up, the likelihood is that Chris will be bunting, try to move Infante into scoring position for Chris Coghlan.
Talking to Edwin the other day about his pitching staff as hitters, the starters, and he feels pretty good with most of them to put a hit and run on. So I think Chris is going to be bunting here, but it's always a thought in a situation like this. You got a guy in Gorzelani who for the most part has been around the plate.
Chris takes up and in.
Thought it was interesting conversation I had today. You see Edwin flashing signs to Joe Espada because kind of came out last night with the verbal signs with the possible squeeze. Jose Oquendo, third base coach with the Cardinals, never gives the signs. They're all given by Tony La Russa, who situates himself in the dugout.
Volstad is out. Infante moves to second.
Where opposing managers can't see him. We can see him. We get shots of him all the time. But he's the one who gives things to Dave McKay, who's at first. He looks in. And to others. Good job by Chris Volstad.
Now Coghlan gets his opportunity. I think last night, the first pitch that Nolasco tried to bunt on, Ricky was trying to slash the ball through the infield, and the verbal to John Buck was, hey, be alive, Ricky's going to try to kind of slap a bunt or slap the ball. And when Buck got back to third, Joe Espada kind of said, all right, be aware for the same thing. And Buck felt that he had maybe either missed a sign or the squeeze was on the first time, so he figured the squeeze was on again. And, of course, Ricky was told by Joe, you know, hey, same thing. If you feel like you can slap it through the infield, go ahead. Oh-2 quickly on Coghlan. To left field, Nix is there, and he makes the catch. And Gorzelani has given up just the Buck home run tonight.
Béisbol está disponible en español vía Zap y es presentado por KFC. Aquí contra los nacionales, a Cookie.
Cookie and Raul.
Raulito, tremendo.
Hey, fellas.
2-2. Hey, Tommy.
What's
Richie,
up,
how are
guys?
you?
Hey, Cookie. Hey, Raul. How you guys doing?
Very well. How you guys?
Well, you'd like to have another hit or so of Gorzolani, who seems to be throwing pretty well.
Well, I think that from the beginning of the season, he hasn't allowed more than 2 runs to anybody. So he's done a great job for this ball club and a good acquisition from the Cubs.
And not a great start in that first inning for Chris Volstad. That 35 pitches seemed to take a bit out of him.
Well, 4 consecutive hits, no question that hurt right away, right off the bat. And now the amount of pitches that he's thrown is quite a bit.
That one's hammered. Stanton goes
Tremendo
back
lineazo
and
y la
makes a catch.
captura. Primer out.
Yeah, what he said.
Hey, Raul, give us that again. That was Linea, I know that.
Lineazo duro al right field. Out de Mike Stanton.
Nicely done.
Not as nice as Rich, but we try.
Yeah, well, last night was Spanish. Tonight, apparently, I was in auto-tune.
I tell you what, I think we're all...
Actually, I forgot to mention, great job on the intro, the tease. You sounded like Max Headroom from back in the 80s. I don't know if you guys remember that guy.
Yeah, we tried to forget that.
Hey, the one thing I think we're all happy that Volstad is here in the 6th inning, because I don't think we thought that after that first.
No way. We didn't think he was going to make it past the 3rd or 4th inning, actually. And it's nice that he settled down and he's battling here and giving Edwin some innings.
Yeah, that's good.
Definitely.
All right, guys, have a good show tonight.
All right,
You
Tommy.
too, fellas.
All right, Richie.
Okay.
Take it easy.
Cookie and Raul over on Spanish language tonight. One and two to Jerry Hairston, who is 4 for 5 in this series. Singled and was caught stealing back in the 4th. Bounced out his first at bat. Final score last night was 3-2, and that's how the Nationals sit right now on top of the Marlins in the 6th. Volstad had a good sinker.
You know, it's interesting. The Marlins, and you pointed it out last night, they've played well in 1-run games, 8-4, but just 1-5 in extra inning games.
Breaking ball, ground ball, Helms. 2 down. Up comes Danny Espinoza. Phillies have stretched their lead against Atlanta. That's in Philadelphia. They now have a 3-0 lead. Ryan Howard has a solo home run, his 7th.
Boy, did you see the note on Chase Utley?
Yeah.
He's in an extended spring game, and he played a game. Of course, in games like that, they let a hitter who's on rehab assignment get a lot of at-bats. He had 5 hits, 2 home runs. He was 5 for 7 with a couple of home runs.
Extended spring, is he playing against Phillies prospects?
Yeah.
So if you're pitching against Utley, you don't want to hit him. I mean, that would.
I take that. They could be playing other extended spring teams, but I think probably just within the organization.
Because if you're like a rookie 28th round pick and you're facing Utley and you plunk him
on his bad hip,
yeah, not good. A big cut in the per diem after that. In the air, and Hanley's out. Bonifacio's behind him. Hanley makes the catch, and Volstad gets through those 6 innings. He's in 101 pitches.
Diamond Club is sold out and several other premium areas are closed to capacity. So secure your seats today. Call the headquarters at 877-411-2012 or go to marlins.com/new ballpark. Marlins Baseball. Catch our moves.
John Buck starring in the promos, and for the Marlins, he's been hit offensively. He has the only hit for the Fish, a 2-run homer in a 3-2 game in which Tom Gorzelani has been cruising for the Nationals. Emilio Bonifacio, Hanley Ramirez, and Gabby Sanchez, their third look at the left-hander out of Orland Park, Illinois.
Over the last 4 starts for Gorzelani, he has not allowed any more than 2 earned runs. He gave up 5 earned runs his first outing of the year in New York against the Mets.
Gorzelani did play some college baseball, Triton Junior College, and attended Kansas for a year.
This is shot in the dark, Rich, and I don't know if you know this, but isn't that where Kirby Puckett went?
Absolutely.
All right, good. The other thing to worry about, we've talked about this Nationals bullpen. The Nats bullpen over the last 9 games has an ERA of 0.41.
It is a very good pen, especially the A team. Jim Riggleman trotted the A team out last night.
Riggleman told me an interesting story in that series in Philadelphia where they got swept. The last day of the season, Steve McCaddy, the pitching coach, said we need to get Clippard and Storen an inning. We need to get them some work. And Riggleman said no. He said, I want to make sure they're ready and use them if needed every game in Florida.
Bonifacio's second walk of the ball game. He's at first. Let's check in with Allison Williams.
It's always a nice homecoming for Ivan Pudge Rodriguez when he comes here to South Florida, the former Marlin. And especially this weekend. Last night he caught his 1200th win of his career, more than any other catcher. And today he was a bit of a guest of the Marlins as he tore down the countdown number, counting down the final games here at Sun Life Stadium before the move to the new Marlins ballpark. And he also has his son here today, who is a senior at Pace High School. He's a center fielder, and they actually just finished their season losing in the regional semifinals, and came out, shagged some balls with the team, was glad to be hanging out with his dad. He said the best advice his dad has ever given him is to keep trying.
Yeah, I think Pudge told me last trip in his son was thinking of going up to Santa Fe Community College.
Yep, that's where he's going to go in the fall there in Gainesville. He'll play at Santa Fe Community College there. After training this summer, he said, of course.
Pudge, of course, a Marlin for a season, but what a season it was. LaRoche with a quick tag. Bonifacio back in. Marlins really haven't had many opportunities to run. Bonifacio was on in the third. As Tommy pointed out, very good step off and throw move from Gorzelani to the plate, and Hanley with a big cut fouls it off. And it always seems like when you're in a rut, and Hanley certainly is in one of those, you're at the plate and it's always 0-2.
And this was a matchup that favored Hanley. He came into the game, he was 2 for 5 in his career against Gorzelani, and he came into the game 8 for 20, hitting .400 against lefties.
Marlins really haven't seen a lot of lefties. They're 4 of 4 against left-handed starters this year.
Well, I'll see a really good one in that series against the Philadelphia Phillies. The Wednesday game of that series, Cliff Lee coming off his 16 strikeout performance.
Edward Mujica in the Marlins pen. If you've just joined us, Clay Hensley earlier today was placed on the disabled list. And Burke Badenhop was called up from AAA. The Hopper is back. It's funny, the Hopper was talking about his time down in AAA, and we've been following him. He had one bad outing, and he said today, and was on Marlins Live, it was the worst outing of his career.
Of his professional career, ever. And thus the inflated ERA out of AAA.
That was in Albuquerque, where you can have a bad outing.
Yes, you can.
In that thin air. No humidor in the Pacific Coast League. 0-2. Hanley tonight on 0 for 2. He did hit a blooper into right that looked like it might drop for a hit, but Espinosa made a terrific sliding catch.
When you're on a roll and you're going well, that ball that he hit last time up drops for a hit.
And drives in a couple runs.
And when you're struggling, you watch a great play. Speaking of which, have you seen the great plays Brandon Phillips has made lately?
Oh, 2, and it's 1-2. Nationals, one of a few teams around baseball that are really improved. They're 2 under. Pittsburgh is 2 under right now. There's that move we've talked about.
There's that step-off snap move. That's his best move. I mean, he has one where he lifts the leg and goes over there, but it's not as good, not as quick as that one.
Cleveland, of course, the biggest improvement. They're at 21-10 going into their game tonight against the Angels. Kansas City, 2 over at 17-15. That's in, and so Hanley with the count now at 2-2.
Talking to Edwin about the Indians the other day, just to show you how much Edwin Rodriguez follows baseball, and in comparison with his club, who with Hanley not hitting and guys out, he said Cleveland, not to take anything away from what they've done, they have everyone overachieving.
Broken bat, Espinosa diving stop, and he'll get Bonifacio. Bonifacio hesitated because he wasn't sure if that would be caught, and he'd be doubled off first. That's a tough spot to be in as a runner at first base.
Yeah, if you go right away, and this ball is looping right about there, it has a chance. He has to make sure it hits the ground. It does, and once again, Hanley Ramirez didn't hit the ball well, but he gets picked by the second baseman, Danny Espinosa. What a pick, and to credit Espinosa, he also alertly saw that Bonnie did have to pause and got the out at second base. So the bottom line, Edwin was saying about Cleveland, and they could continue that all year, but he said all their pitchers are pitching well, all their hitters are overachieving, and that's why you've seen them get off to such a great start. Obviously, Tribe fans hope they continue that way.
Cleveland rocks right now.
Yeah.
At 21-10. Grady Sizemore is back. Sin-Soo Choo.
Travis Hafner been going deep.
Gabby lifts that one to left. A lot of right-handed hitters trying to pull Gorzolani, have hit some soft fly balls to left field. There are 2 outs. Here comes Mike Stanton. Todd Coffey in the Nationals bullpen. John Buck is on deck. Gorzolani at 88 pitches. Stanton, a fly ball to right. Over for it is Worth, and he won't get it. It falls. It's a base hit. Hanley to third. The throw behind the runner, and Stanton is out at first base.
What a heads-up play to alertly see that LaRoche, the first baseman, had moved over there. Look at LaRoche. Sneaky left-handed first baseman.
Opportunity for a 1st and 3rd and 2-out spot, but Mike Stanton caught off first base.
Once again, it's those little things. The Nationals have been doing them correctly. The Marlins haven't. Worth alertly comes up because he sees his first baseman, Adam LaRoche. Now, I know what Mike Stanton's thinking. He takes a good turn, but you have to be aware of where the first baseman or whoever is in that area is. By the time he picks up the throw, I'm not sure he even knew that LaRoche was that close. So a heads-up play by the Nationals, Worth to LaRoche, a couple of veterans.
Clearly out. Gorzolani is going to hit to lead off the top of the 7th, and Edward Mujica is on for the Marlins.
What a nice job by Chris Volstad. A good rebound from that first inning. Second longest outing of the year. Chris went 7 against the Dodgers a couple of starts ago.
So an obvious sign that Gorzolani is coming out to pitch the bottom of the 7th. That Stanton blooper, just the second hit of the night for the Marlins. And Mujica gets Gorzolani, first out of the 7th. Now Roger Bernardina and Ian Desmond coming up. 8 hits for the 3 runs for the Washington Nationals.
I would imagine when Gorzolani goes out there, as he goes there, the bullpen will be busy. I don't know if Jim Riggleman will wait too long.
Roger Bernardina has been busy tonight. You can see the 2 base hits, stolen base. Bernardina adds a little bit of speed. Of course, the Nationals had that somewhat with Niger Morgan last year. Morgan, who ended up in Milwaukee, is on the disabled list. He broke a finger, I believe, trying to bunt, and his finger hit by a pitch. Was traded over late in spring training. Two coming. Infante has to hurry. He does, and makes a solid play. Still without an error after the scoring exchange last night. Let's hear from John Buck again.
Fans, present your Mikasuki Ultimate Rewards Player Club card at the stadium box office starting 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game. To receive a $10 discount up to 8 infield box seats, offer cannot be combined and is subject to availability.
He was okay with
What's
Mikasuki.
wrong with that? That was great.
Yeah, that was spot on.
Mikasuki just flowed out.
Yeah. Mikasuki.com. Ian Desmond. Oh, I'm being told that we will be playing the outtakes from John Buck's day of
Now, did you
reading the promos later in the show.
What I want to know is that did you tell John Buck that later you'd be playing outtakes? I mean, were you up front with him? He was warned.
Yeah,
okay.
don't look at me. It was not my doing. It was the crack staff that worked with John. Strike at the knees. But you know what? I think he would, in exchange for a 2-run homer and throwing out a base stealer.
And working Chris Volstad through that first inning, getting him to settle down.
I like the way Gary Cedarstrom calls strikes.
Lets you know right away.
Just kind of yells it.
Gary Cedarstrom enjoying the manatees a couple of innings ago.
Two and two. Chopper Helms has the big hop, throws on the run in time. Mojica goes 1, 2, 3. 7th inning stretch. 3-2 Nationals. John Buck's been reading the promos all night, and now the outtakes.
Mikasaki Resort is game Mikasuki Ultimate Rewards Player Club card at the Mikasaki Resort Gaming Mikasuki. Fans, present your Mikasuki. At least you're not making me spell it. Mikasuki. Okay. Mikasaki Resort and Gaming. Get it in the game. Did I say it? Mikasuki. I told you guys I'd have a problem with this. You guys act like it's so weird. Just say Mikasaki, John. You just hit a slider, okay? You just try to hit a slider. Save it. You hit a slider. You'll hit a slider as good as I can say Mikasaki.
The best part of the story is he hit a 2-run homer tonight, and guess what side it went over?
It went over the Mikasuki side. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and our producer still can't hit a slider. 1-1 is the count. That's tremendous. The 2-run homer was in the second. He struck out in the fourth. Buck, Helms, and Infante against Gorzolani. High strike. 1-2. By the way, Andre Ethier has had 4 at-bats and does not have a hit tonight. He's 0 for 3 with a walk. That game is in the bottom of the 6th in New York. 2-2, Dodgers and Mets. Buck turns on one. 1-2.
Right about now, Ethier may be hoping for extra innings.
Tom Gorzolani has been all that tonight. 93 pitches. We heard Cookie point out he hasn't given up more than 2 runs in any outing, and he's right on that number tonight. 3-2 Nationals on top.
He had a year in 07. That was the last time the Marlins saw him when he was with Pittsburgh. He was 14-10 that year. Threw over 200 innings, had a 3.88 ERA.
Struck him out at the knees. Down goes Buck. Up comes Helms. Let's look at it on Fox.
During this at bat, there was a high strike and a low strike called. Boy, it's a big strike zone there. You figure one of those isn't going to be called. A lot of times an umpire, if he stays up and calls that high strike, he's not going to call the low or vice versa.
Now you're speaking from the perspective of a hitter. If I'm a pitcher and it's
want both of them,
and it's in that square,
sure.
I mean, the square is the square. That's supposed to represent the strike zone.
Well, we saw the pitch that Wes was called out on last night by Drew Storm was up. The thing that made that one look more like a ball was because Pudge was set inside and had to reach up to catch it.
Just because you're a card-carrying member of the Hitters Guild.
Yeah, I know Niner would totally agree with me.
Right. Well, you guys are going to have some issues. The new CBA agreement is hammered out with the Pitchers Union. The Hitters Guild.
We always had issues with the pitchers.
Yeah. 0-2. Go talk to that guy.
No, I'm not going to talk to JJ. JJ's getting ready for Halliday on Tuesday.
Helms has struck out twice, and it's a high pop-up. LaRoche to the wall.
I don't know. JJ may be getting ready for T-Pain after the game.
Well, you never know. I mean, the one thing about JJ in a game in which he's not starting, he is the emergency pinch hitter. If Edwin wants to go to a guy that is not a player, if he wants to, his Helms swings and misses. If he needs an at-bat from a pitcher, JJ's first in line.
And Javier Vasquez is first in line to be used as a runner.
Toyota trend, Toyota moving forward. Nationals 1 error in their last 8 games. Last year, 127. That tied with Pittsburgh for the Major League lead. Nationals this year have 23. The Marlins, on the other hand, have just 15 and have the 5th best fielding percentage in the National League. Fonte looks at his strike, and it's 1-1. But Gorzolani has just been nails tonight.
Getting ahead, lots of strikes. Working both sides of the plate, working up and down.
Infante pulls one, but that's curling foul. Gorzolani, 6 strikeouts, 4 walks, just the 2 hits. Pitch number 104 is a ball, and now Sean Burnett joins Todd Coffey.
108 is the most pitches he's thrown in any start this year. That was a couple of starts ago in St. Louis. But he's, as we talk a lot, he hadn't had a lot of effort on these pitches. He had a lot of stressful pitches.
He's a little more than a soft tossing lefty too.
No, he's not a soft tosser. No.
Popped up. Ramos finds the ball, tosses the mask, and the Marlins go in order in the 7th. 3-2 Nationals. Poll. Greatest Washington center of all time. Joe Cronin and Frank Howard have 11% of the vote. Walter Johnson at 56%. And with 49% of the precincts reporting Harmon Killebrew and Arlen Specter. You try to hit a slider, Arlen Specter.
Thought he was a music producer. Oh, that was Phil Spector.
Yeah. Who took a turn to the dark side.
To the dark side, yeah. He's not producing any music right now.
Here is Jason Worth. Adam LaRoche. Wilson Ramos against Edward Mujica. Second inning for Mujica. Chris Volstad went 6. And he gave up all 8 hits and the 3 runs. Worth right through it, and it's 0-2. Volstad's night actually turned out a lot better than it started. First 4 hitters had base hits. He threw 35 pitches in the first inning. But Chris hung in there, gave up that late run, his last inning of work. Walked 1 and struck out 5.
By the way, in case any of our viewers are wondering, Walter Johnson won 417 games. He had over 10 seasons where he won more than 25. He had 36 wins one year.
Liner to center, Coughlin there, and he makes the catch. What site is that you are on?
It's the Baseball Reference site. Not only did he win 417 games, his career ERA was 2.17.
Does that have major pieces of legislation that Arlen Specter got through when in Senate?
I haven't dug that deeply yet.
Has there been a major leaguer named Specter?
No. Because I did look earlier.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Here's LaRoche. And he fouls back a fastball. Adam LaRoche. 2-run single. That was in the first. That one misses. I think the John Buck outtakes are good enough to make the 10-run reel.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to follow that up with him hitting the home run over the Miccosukee sign.
Yeah, that puts the cap on it right there. So the key would be to go, if the Marlins come back, I wouldn't do it if the Marlins don't win this game, but if the Marlins come back and win this game, to go down in the clubhouse and ask John Buck, good pitch to get LaRoche, by the way, where did your home run go? What sign did you hit your home run over?
Tomorrow, it's Mother's Day, and the Pink Bats will be out in support of breast cancer research. Leovan Hernandez makes his 79th start against the Marlins, and Anibal Sanchez will go for the Fish.
That's amazing. 79 starts against one ball club.
I'm fudging.
What's close?
I know it is.
See, what's amazing is I believed you.
Helms makes the play. Marlins are down 3-2 going to the bottom of the 8th.
All right, let's get serious here going to the bottom of the 8th inning. First inning, the Nats put together 4 consecutive hits. The big one, that base hit by Adam LaRoche that drove in 2 runs. A quick 2-0 lead for Washington, but that was erased just as fast. Home run number 4 on the year for John Buck, a 2-run shot, and it's a 2-2 tie. But in the 5th inning, Ian Desmond sent a ball into the right center field gap. A triple, a stand-up triple for Desmond, and he came in to score on the sac fly by Jason Wirth. Other than that, it's been some solid pitching, especially from Tom Gorzolani, and even Chris Volstad, a very solid 6 innings. But now it goes to that Nationals bullpen. We'll see Sean Burnett come in. He's first out of the chute. Threw a 1-pitch save last night. Came in and got Chris Coughlin on the first pitch, a fly ball out.
Ozzie Martinez will pinch hit and lead it off. A strike to Ozzie. Chris Coughlin and Emilio Bonifacio to follow. Ozzie hasn't had a whole lot of at-bats for the Fish, and he rolls that one out to second. Espinoza flips to first. Let's check in with Allison Williams.
Well, as a way of making a good thing out of a bad situation, Logan Morrison auctioning off the cast he had to wear when he injured his arch, and it was for a good cause. The winning bid, $1,500, all going to the American Lung Association, and the winner was Dr. James Hoffman, an oncologist in Weston. So our thanks to Dr. Hoffman and from Lomo and everybody at the American Lung Association for chipping in for a good cause. Of course, the cast wasn't just the cast, it was signed by the entire Marlins team, and that was the winning bid, $1,500. Not too shabby, huh, guys?
That's a nice thing, and certainly Logan has dedicated himself to that cause after losing his father to lung cancer. His father, a non-smoker, Coughlin stands in. Sean Burnett's fastball is popped up on the infield. Hairston makes the catch. It's been lefty night for the Nats. You've got Gorzolani, who goes the first 7, and now Burnett, who finished the game last night, has the first 2 outs in the 8th.
The Marlins tonight have just not had very many good swings. The home run, the best swing, even the bloop single by Mike Stanton, he didn't hit the ball all that well. It's been that kind of night for the offense, but still just 1 run down.
Bonifacio has walked twice and has flied out. And that one is caught by Espinoza. And so the Marlins go down 1-2-3 in the 8th to the 9th. Brian Sanchez enters. Washington up by the narrowest of margins. Time to take a look at the defensive play of the game, brought to you by Home Depot. John Buck. Nice throw. Pretty nice catch and tag by Hanley. Home Depot doing more on defense.
Yeah, a couple of things there. First of all, a good throw, but then you look at Hanley and you think of the balance that an infielder has to have, the concentration. You know the throw's going into the runner. The runner's going to be coming at you, and Hanley stayed with it, made a nice tag as Brian Sanchez comes on to work this 9th inning.
Brian Sanchez gets Lance Nix, Jerry Hairston, Danny Espinoza in the Washington 9th. Nationals doing this without noted Marlin killer Ryan Zimmerman, who was on the disabled list. Zimmerman, who usually spends his holidays against the Marlins hitting walk-off hits. 4th of July walk-off hit. I think he had a Father's Day walk-off hit.
One of those was very early in the morning after a rain delay.
Hit well to center. Man, that carries all the way out to Coughlin. You can't hit it much harder than Lance Nix just did.
Lance Nix lined out to right field his last time up. He hit that ball that Mike Stanton made a nice catch over his shoulder. And he scalded that one.
Drew Storen. He got the win last night. And he's getting ready. The Marlins in the bottom of the 9th. Hanley Ramirez, Gabby Sanchez, Mike Stanton.
Well, he's going to get the meat of the order.
The guys that you want up. Hairston does not swing. That's Lance Barksdale down there at first. Who'll be the first fourth generation family in baseball?
Right now, I think the Boones certainly have a chance.
Ground ball. That's a fair ball. Down the line it goes. And Jerry Hairston ends up at second base.
What a series he's having so far. And we mentioned last night he played center field. Tonight he's been at third base. He had 3 hits last night, and that's his second hit in this one. Just over the bag.
Who are the other third generations besides the Hairstons, the Boones?
The Bells.
That's right. So the Bells have a chance too.
They have a chance also.
Gus, Buddy, and David. Espinosa's triple was in the fourth. Sanchez trying to pitch around a Jerry Hairston double. Brian catches the outside corner.
We've seen Brian Sanchez get hit a little bit the last couple of outings. And when he gets hit, it's mainly because of location. With the fastball, with the forkball.
Forkball misses. 2-1.
You know what? That's where he wants to miss with it, though. That's a pitch he wants the hitter to chase. It's just a good take by Espinosa.
It's gone to 3-1. Pitcher spot is on deck, and that means a special guest appearance by Matt Stairs.
And quickly, as you said that, I looked down. I was surprised that Choate wasn't warming up. Anticipating that arrival of Matt Stairs.
Pitch misses out. It's actually the Hopper who's up. So Burke Badenhop is up. After this pinch hitting appearance by Stairs, you've got Bernardina and Desmond.
Yeah, another lefty. And the way things have gone, the way the Marlins have swung the bat tonight, another run for the Nationals would be huge.
Stairs takes down low. Matt Stairs is 43 now. Continues to coach hockey in the off season. Out of New Brunswick, up in Canada. And the all-time pinch hit home run leader in Major League Baseball history. Now with 100 career pinch hits, with a pinch hit single in Philadelphia on Wednesday. He broke Cliff Johnson's record last year. He has 23.
I think a lot of people who have followed baseball the last few years, you've heard of Matt Stairs, but you forget at one time when he was with Oakland, he had back-to-back years of over 100 RBIs. He had 38 home runs one season with the A's.
Here's a great
99.
Here's a great stat. He has homered for a major league record 12 different teams. Next on that list is Todd Zeile with 11.
Todd Zeile, one of those teams, the Marlins.
Sanchez spinning around. And Stairs wasn't drafted either. He played for the Canadian national team, and the Expos signed him because he was a Canadian player, and wasn't bad, so they signed him to a free agent contract. He went to the minor leagues, and lo and behold, got to the big leagues. 2-2 to Stairs. Lost a lot of weight a season and a half ago going into last year, and was almost unrecognizable in San Diego when the season started. Used to pack on a little more heft. Hits it hard and under the glove of Helms. Charging is Bonifacio. The throw comes to the plate. Buck has it. Runner is out. There may be interference on Helms.
No, I think it's on Brian Sanchez.
Well, the runner had to avoid Helms, and maybe he had to avoid Sanchez as well.
See who it's on. It's either before he got to third, then it would be Wes Helms, but I think it's after he touches third. Here comes Sanchez.
No, it was Helms. It was Helms. The third base umpire, Fielding Colbreth, called it right there.
That's a tough play for Wes Helms, who just had to go after the ball. But you can't impede a runner if you don't have the baseball. So I think at this point, yeah, Sanchez gets out of the way. It's not on Sanchez. And again, little things. The runner nailed at first base on a throw from right behind him, Mike Stanton. This play here.
It's going to be an error on Helms.
And the other thing, regardless of the interference, he has to dodge and dot around Wes Helms. If Wes picks that ball, it's a double play with Matt Stairs, the runner. So all things went the wrong way there.
So it's Bernardina, as you pointed out, that extra run is enormous. Ball and a strike. Stairs now occupies first. Espinoza is at second.
Right now, in these first two games, Rich, the Washington Nationals have outplayed the Marlins.
Sanchez the 1-1. Jim Riggleman is pitching coach next to him. Steve McCaddy. John McLaren is bench coach there as well. Sanchez thought it was a strike. You saw him react. Gary Cedarstrom looking into the Marlins dugout. Here's a look at it.
We've seen that high strike called a couple of times, but not there. So that's, yeah, if you're going to call it all night. So there's a little inconsistency from Gary Cedarstrom.
Brian Sanchez has thrown 19 pitches, only 9 of them strikes. And to your point,
and he has to have pinpoint control.
Bernardina fouls it back, and the count's 2-2. Full count. Stays full at 3-2. 4-2 Nationals. They've added a run here in the ninth. The interference call on Wes Helms. It is a tough call because as Helms is going to his left, the ball had just gone by his glove. He's still in the act, or at least finishing the act of trying to make a play on the ball.
And then all of a sudden, bingo, here's the runner right here. I've got to try to dance out of the way.
Sanchez lost him, and that might be it for Sanchez. Badenhop is ready.
Here's that play again. It's a double play if he catches it. So he makes the error. Now he looks at the ball. Now he looks up, and here comes the runner. The runner being Jerry Hairston Jr., a smart runner.
You see, Colbreth had called it all the way.
Already called it. The other amazing thing, it was almost close in Brian Sanchez getting him. Hairston right away pointed. He knew that the third base umpire, fielded Colbreth, had already made that call.
So Sanchez exit. Here comes the hopper. It's our Marooney. Call to the pen.
Truck or van? Who you gonna call? Marooney!
Burke Badenhop, Ian Desmond. It's a heck of a way to get back into the big leagues, is to walk into a bases-loaded ninth inning situation with one out. But there's the hopper. Now the ERA, as we talked about, inflated by one nightmare of an outing in Albuquerque.
What did you say? He gave up 8 earned runs, 7 or 8 earned runs.
Driven to right and hit pretty well. Stanton is back. Runner tags, and the Nationals are going to pick up another run. Scoring is Espinoza. Bixler, who's running for Stairs, ends up at third base. So that whole interference play now really an issue, because I don't think it really slowed Hairston down in coming to the plate. I think if Helms is not in the way and Hairston tries to score,
he still scores.
No, I think
he's out.
I think he's out.
Because Bonnie came up, charged the ball well, and made a strong throw to the plate. But you're right, yeah. If there's no interference, he doesn't score. it doesn't get him to the plate faster.
Here's Worth, who takes a breaking ball for a strike. Jason Worth, one of the 4 singles back in the first. Now the Nationals have added on. They've tacked on 2 runs here in the 9th. They got a single run in the 5th.
Well, a good job, a good 2 innings by Edward Mujica, the 7th and 8th. But the bullpen faltering. Brian Sanchez with trouble here in the 9th.
Breaking ball from Baden Hopp. 1-2. Mixture of sinkers and sliders.
Yeah, we use the term often when we describe other pitchers, and a herky-jerky motion, a tough motion for hitters to pick up.
One, 2. In what other sport is herky-jerky a good thing?
Can't think of one. Don't describe a serve from a tennis player as herky-jerky.
A golfer wouldn't want to have a herky-jerky putting.
Jim Furyk has kind of a herky-jerky swing, but you don't hear that.
Hopper strikes out Worth, and the inning is over, but it's a costly one for the Marlins. The Nationals put 2 more on the board, and the Fisher down 3 going to the bottom of the 9th. Marooney, South Florida. When you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? 1-877-MAROONEY. By Checkers, little place, big taste. By Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Was a tight game, and now the Nationals put a little cushion between themselves and the Fish going to the bottom of the 9th. Drew Storen was warming up for what looked to be a 1-run save. He's been outstanding this year. You see the small ERA, perfect 6 of 6. He actually got the win last night after pitching an inning and 2/3. Finished the 9th, got 2 outs in the 10th, and it was Sean Burnett who got the last out for last night's save. Hanley, Gabby Sanchez, Mike Stanton against Storen.
And Rich, the Marlins in jeopardy for the first time this year, losing 3 in a row.
0-1 to Hanley. Oh for 3 tonight. Marlins still have just 2 hits. A 2-run homer by John Buck, a bloop single by Mike Stanton, and of course Stanton, when Hanley racing to third, was thrown out after he rounded the bag at first on a heads-up play by both Jason Worth and first baseman Adam LaRoche. 1-1 coming to Hanley. Nasty breaking ball. Storen has one of those.
Boy, he has a live fastball. We talked about it last night. Not a big guy. Fastball mid-90s. Tough slider.
He has the prerequisite beard going as well. That seems to be a trend in relievers these days. From San Francisco to St. Louis. Outside corner. Hanley is called out on strikes.
Well, until your premier hitter starts hitting, it's going to be tough for the offense to score runs. It's been a tough go for Hanley. Storen just paints one on the outside part of the plate. I think they have, and they've made the announcement, Rich, they've posted a second error on the ground ball and also on the obstruction. So Wes Helms is charged with 2 errors.
Gabby Sanchez takes a strike. So E5 squared on the ground ball by Stairs in the top of the inning. And Storen is quickly out in front, throwing 96 miles an hour. It's 0-2. The other first-round pick of the Steven Strasburg draft, Drew Storen. Breaking ball misses away. 1-2.
Another little note that the Marlins are in jeopardy of. Remember, coming into this game, they were 16-0 in a game in which they homered. And they have homered tonight, the big 2-run shot by John Buck.
Imagine getting Strasburg with the first overall pick in 2009, and then Storen with the 10th overall pick in 2009. Stanton awaits. 2-2. Slow tapper out to Desmond. And the Nationals are an out and away from taking a 2-0 lead in this series.
Storen was actually drafted by the Yankees out of high school, and then he elected to go to Stanford.
Mike Stanton takes inside.
Interesting, in their brief careers, Stanton has already faced Storen 6 times. And it's funny, I talked to Drew Storen about that. And he said he first saw Mike Stanton emerge in those area code games as high school players in Southern California. And he said that's where Stanton really broke out and got everybody's attention.
Stanton played on the same area code team as Freddie Freeman of the Braves. 1-1. High chopper, Desmond backing up, a bobble, and out at first. Drew Storen comes in 1-2-3, locks the door. 7th save for Storen, and the Nationals beat the Marlins for the 2nd consecutive night. Suddenly the Marlins have dropped 4 of their last 5 and fall to 19-13, and the Nationals are back to a game under 500, even without their superstar third baseman Ryan Zimmerman. They are at 16-17. Marlins did not have a double in the ball game, so the Checkers double of the game goes to Jerry Hairston. Hairston who just snuck that one by Wes Helms. Started the rally in the 9th inning, then added the 2 insurance runs, our checkers double of the game. 2 hours and 40 minutes it took. There were 17,409 here to see it. Tom Gorzelani, the winner. He's 2-2. Chris Bolstad, the loser. He is 2-2. Storin 7 save. Marlins Live coming up.